Hi, Adam from Audio Imperium. We're incredibly pleased to announce the latest content update to our cinematic SFX collection, Legacy. In Legacy, we brought together 4 of our leading cinematic sound design libraries created by some of the best sound designers in the industry into one powerful product, all contained within our easy-to-use Pyramid engine. Now, in this latest content update, we've added a 5th library. Dark Dimensions, Event Horizon, Scenes from the Multiverse, and Terraform are now joined by Traveler Eros to deliver you an unparalleled selection of drums, pulses, pads, risers, hits, and much, much more. This fantastic new update offers a little over 3 GB of new content and will be available free to all existing Legacy owners, accessible via an update of Legacy through native access. So let's have a little look at what this new version 1.1 of Legacy is all about. Now, there is a walkthrough for the previous version of Legacy that's still highly useful, highly relevant. So I provided a link to that in the description below, and you can watch that to really get a sense of what this product's all about. In this walkthrough, I just want to walk through each different folder in the library, talk a little bit about what's available, and give you a flavor of what they're all about. So let's start with Dark Dimensions. If I just come up in here, you can see that that's split into a whole variety of subcategories. We've got booms, downers, drones, futuristic effects, hits, reverse effects, risers, stingers, whooshes. So plenty in here for really modern sound design. If you're doing things like trailers or really sort of modern hybrid scores, or you're just writing tracks or songs that you would love some modern sound design in, these are perfect. And these have all been created from the ground up by world-class sound designers who have brought a lot to these sounds. So they're really all great and will layer into any tracks really well. Let's have a little listen to some of the hits from Dark Dimension and give you a sense of what they're all about. So as you can hear, really modern, really impactful hits. They're great if you really want to mark down beats or really want to create big build-ups and then sudden drops or sudden hits into new sections of music. These kind of things are perfect. They'll cut through a mix. They will really add a lot of texture and a lot of aggression and a lot of impact to anything that you're working on. Now let's have a little look at some of the futuristic effects. So full of those great, really sort of modern robotic and electronic sci-fi effects. These would be great as layers or just for adding interest and texture to things that you're working on. Finally, let's just have a look at some of the whooshes. So these are sort of transition style effects. They'd be really great for leading into hits or for sort of leading into new sections of music, just provide a lot of forward momentum. And again, with that really hard sci-fi edge. Okay, let's move on and look at Event Horizon. So we have sort of similar categories here, some new ones as well, but a very different approach to the sound design. We have downers, drones, drums, hits. We've also got pulses. We've got spiccato synths, subs, and transitions as well. So a whole manner of sound effects from different categories. And these are great. They offer a very different sort of approach to Dark Dimensions, but still retain that same aggressive modern sci-fi sound. Let's start by having a look at some of these spiccato synths. Now, these are mapped across the keyboards, so they're playable, and they're just really great modern synth sounds that can layer up with strings or provide their own sort of sound and help reinforce ostinatos or arpeggios or provide sort of tonal impacts, downbeats and things like that. These would just be great for layering, and I'm just going to play some of these and give you an idea of what they're all about. Let's have a look at some of the pulses. So these are some really interesting and great curated pulses. They're mapped to the tempo of your projects. These are the ones in 3/4. We also have ones in 4/4 as well. And these are great if you just want to get a groove going quickly, or you just need some sort of texture to go under a percussion thing that you're working on. These are great at starting tracks quickly or adding layers, and they're just generally a great way to begin thinking about new ideas. So for the last thing inside of Event Horizon, I just want to look at these drums. These are really punchy drums, really aggressive, really modern sounding, almost like a drum kit, but with a lot of treatment and processing on them to make them ultra punchy. So let's have a listen to some of the sounds here. So some really great sounds here, a whole manner of different drums that you can build various drum kits out of, and these are great again if you want to add a drum texture to your tracks or you want to get a groove or a loop going with these drums. They're good for all kinds of different scenarios, whether it's trailer music, whether it's hybrid scoring, whether it's for songs. They've got so many different uses, but they're really well designed, really, really nicely processed, and add a lot of punch and a lot of impact. Let's now have just a brief look at scenes from the multiverse. So these are some new categories in here and some of the same old categories, but again, very different sound design approach. So very different sounds, but we have booms, braams, downers, drones, hits, pulses, reversed effects, risers, short hits, and stretched effects. So again, lots of stuff in here to layer into your tracks, to layer into your pieces, and to get some really, really great sound design going. I'm just gonna start with these short hits. So these are really impactful, really short hits that can add a ton of weight to downbeats or to beats that you want to emphasize in something that you're working on. So have a listen to these. So really, really lots of frequency response in there, lots of great sound design. These will cut through almost anything and they're really going to help add a lot of weight and downbeat to anything that you're working on. And finally, inside of scenes from the multiverse, I just want to focus on these braams. Now, of course, braams are staples for trailer music, and the braams in here are really, really good. We have a whole selection, and they're mapped across a range, so they can be changed depending on the key you're working on. I'll just play you a few of these, give you an idea of what they sound like. So all these braams based around high aggression, very distorted, crunchy textures that will go great in all manner of different sci-fi projects, or if you want some aggression and some bite and some crunch to anything that you're working on. And finally, before travel errors, let's have a look at Terraform. Now, Terraform is set up slightly differently from the others and is nearly all based around percussive and tonal loops and drones. So it's all really highly curated, pre-made stuff that just layers in perfectly to anything that you're working on. They're mapped across the key, so you can change them depending on the key you're working on. And we also have a whole range of different sounds for each category. So here I am in the ambient minor section. Let's have a listen to just some of the textures here. So you can hear a lot of really great sound design, a lot of really great evolving textures there, and a lot of stuff baked in there. So they're very complex, very interesting sounds, and they evolve across time. And again, you can map them to any key that you're working in. So great for getting maybe the intros of trailer tracks, or if you want a certain breakdown section, you want a great drone in there that's going to sort of cut right through and really add some great textures to what you're working on. Let's have a look at some of the high tonal stuff here. This is in major key, and these are 4/4. So again, they'd be tempo mapped to your project. So same sort of thing, they're mapped across different notes, so you can put them in any key that you want. But we also have a range of different styles to work with. So let's have a listen to some of them. Let's just change key for this one. Finally, for Terraform, let's just have a look at some of the percussive loops that we have here. Now, these are 3/4 time of signature. We also have 4/4. But again, these are great for just getting something going really quickly, or if you have maybe a percussion thing that you're working on, but you feel like it's missing something or needs some instant impact. These kind of things are perfect for that. So let's have a little listen to what's available here. So let's have a little look at Traveler Errors. Now this is quite a different library. It does have a lot of the same aggressive sci-fi sounds, but it also has some really haunting and beautiful textures in there as well. So it offers something really unique and really expands the sort of availability of what's inside of Legacy. Really makes it a lot more diverse a library. So we've broken this down into Atmosphere and Drones atonal, Atmosphere and Drones tonal, pads and synths, pulses and rhythms. I'm going to start by looking at some of the pads and synths. I'm looking at the blissful and calm sounds here, and I'm starting off with this grass critter. So as you can hear, if I just play a note and hold it, we have this nice sort of static but undulating, slightly evolving texture going on. But I can also use these almost more like playable patches as well. So for example, so you can see just by expanding and using some of these controls here, I can just expand the release a little bit, sort of make it a bit bigger, and then that's going to really allow me just to use these more as playable. And I can go full on with this and really make a long release. And if you listen to this, it rings out long after I've held the notes, and that could be great for some really ethereal, really ambient sounds. Just beautiful, ringing out, lots of really nice texture. And this is a good point just to very briefly highlight. We also have this FX tab here available for all the different sounds across every aspect of this library. And you can see we have a whole bunch of different effects. So we've got things like distortion, lo-fi sounds, chorus, flanger, reverb, delay, etc. And these can really, really change and add a lot of extra dimensions to any particular sound. So if I just maybe load in very quickly some of these sounds, let's put a chorus on here as well and go back, you'll hear instantly a more complex, richer sound, and you can shape all the sounds a huge amount just using these few different controls in the FX controller. So I highly recommend, if you get this product or you have it already, you really look into that, because this can completely revitalize any sound. It can make it much more your own, and there's a whole bunch of different effects here, all offering something very different. So let's just have a little listen to a few more of these pads. Let's just add some really big reverb to that, and maybe some delay as well. See what we get. So you can hear a huge amount of really great sound design options in the FX tab, but also if you don't want to use that, if you just want to use the sounds as they come, they're already designed and curated in such a way that they have instant texture, instant playability. Let's now have a little listen to some of the distorted and harsh pad sounds here. And again, if I want to elongate the release here, that will give me some very different options. And I could add some reverb and really give these a lot more space. Let's have a listen to some other sounds here. Let's have a little listen to one more. So really nice, really interesting, in this case, really gritty textures, but we also have some really beautiful ambient and calm and sort of haunting textures too. So let's have a little listen to some of the distorted pulses here. Like the previous libraries, these are already tempo mapped, already curated, already designed, so they're going to fit straight in and loop in such a way that they're going to add a lot of instant texture and interest to whatever you're working on. These are mapped across different keys, so you can put them in whatever key you like. Let's have a little look at some of the organic noises here. Let's have a little look at some of the atonal atmospheres and drones, and I've chosen the chaotic drones here. So let's have a little listen to these and see what they bring. Finally, let's have a look at these atmospheric pulses. These are great for just creating some instant ambience and sort of ethereal textures in whatever tracks you're working on. So there we have it, a brief introduction to what's available in the new Legacy. We have all of the great sounds from the previous 4 libraries, and now with Travel Errors we have an expanded palette full of great sound effects for anything that you're working on. So that's Legacy version 1.1. Featuring over 3 GB of new content, Legacy now includes our much-loved Traveler Errors, providing you with a huge selection of cutting-edge sound design for modern and hybrid scoring, taking your music to the next level. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.